everyone. Welcome to my powder room. I put a question on my page just a few minutes ago, and I want to know, why do women give the baby or the child the father's last name, especially if they're not married? So that's the question I want to put in the powder room. Welcome to my powder room. And the question once again, why do women give the child the father's last name and they're not married? I feel as though if the woman is good enough to sleep with, he or she should be good enough to marry. And a lot of people are disagreeing with me, saying that that's the man's bloodline and the child should have the man's last name. I disagree, because what if that relationship didn't work out and you're on to the next man? So that means that the next child has another man's name as well. One thing about, a woman having a child, all her kids can have the same name because they know that one woman had all of those children. I just don't understand, because, like I said, I just disagree with that. Why should he have the privilege of that child having his last name and he's not that father that he needs to be? And I'll just say this. I guess different circumstances calls for different results. Everyone should not be privileged enough to get their child having their name. I'll be right back because I'm hot. Getting hot sitting up under these lights. Welcome to my powder room. Come on in, let's talk. Yes. Woo. It is hot up under these lights. Excuse me. Yeah. Welcome to my powder room. Should a child have the father's last name even if you're not married? Because, like I said, what if things didn't work out with that man and you gave the child his last name? Especially if you're a young mother and you're having kids. I can't see myself having kids and all of them having different last names. That's the part that I'm talking about. Welcome to my powder room. Pull up, let's chat. What is your opinion? What is your opinion on the topic? Just because a woman has a child by a man, you feel as though that man is entitled for that child to have his last name? That's still. I'm not taking that away from a man that's his child. But what I'm saying is that if she was good enough for him to sleep with, why not be good enough to marry her and let that child carry his last name? Because, Nate, what if she was to have another child by another man? Should she give that child another man's name as well? How many children would this woman have with different men, different names? That's the part I'm talking about. That's why I said, why not just marry her? And just here's... Oh, my goodness. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sitting up under this light, and it's hot. Nate, let me see. What if she decides not to marry him? Okay, if she decides not to marry him, that child still gets her last name. That's how that works. So, Nate, all of your kids are by the same woman? Not to get personal, but we're going to talk. Let's talk. Because I know Kim, she made a comment on my page saying that she was engaged and her fiance cheated on her, but she still gave her son his last name. That's her prerogative, but I would not have done that. Because what if, when your child gets old enough, he started to question you as to why didn't you marry my father? Are you going to say I didn't marry your father because he cheated on me? Kimberly, I was talking about you and your situation. You said that your fiance cheated on you, but yet and still you still gave your son his last name. What if, I don't know if you had this conversation with your child or if you ever will, but what if your child asks you, Mom, why didn't you marry my dad? And you tell him, well, he cheated on me. So, Nate, you said all of your kids don't have your last name. Is that what you're saying? I'm hot because I'm sitting under my makeup lights. That's why I'm hot. Welcome to my powder room. Come on in. Yes, I'm hot because I'm sitting up under these makeup lights. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 lights up there. Matthew, what do you have to say about that? Correct. So, Nate, all of your kids have... Okay, let me say this. The woman that had your children had other children. And all of them have different names. It's not about me, though. It's about my son growing up with his family's name. Okay. I can understand that somewhat. Oh, okay. Because like I said, I can see if a child is carrying the father's last name because he's inheriting some type of wealth, or he's the heir to an estate or something like that when it comes to carrying that man's last name. But just because a man fathered a child does not necessarily entitle him to that child having his name, in my opinion. Although that child may have the father's bloodline, to me, there's some work that comes into being a father. There's all type of sperm donors out there. Is that sperm donor entitled to a last name? Yes, my kid's mother had a daughter before me. Okay. So what if she decides to have another child by another man? That's 3 different kids in the household with different names. Y'all do what you want to do. This is just a conversation. This is just my opinion. You have your opinion. Yes, it does. If I'm acting as a father, should. Yeah. So money should be the reason. No, money should not necessarily be the deciding factor. But to me, a bloodline means that child is carrying that man's name. To me, that man has to have some shit going on for my child to carry his last name on to the next child. On into his marriage and of him father children. That's all I'm saying. I can see, if you were going to get married. She at the door? Okay, open the door. Did somebody knock? Did she knock? Well, tell her I'm in the powder room. got a lot of stuff? My son is proud to be a fourth and carry on his name. That's beautiful. That's beautiful, and I'm sure your son has a relationship with his father. Some kids are not privileged enough to have a relationship with their father, but yet they have that man's last name. So different circumstances you have different. Hi, Jay. I'm in my powder room. Come here, Bookie. Hey, Mama. Hey, Bookie. I'm in my powder room. No, never mind. What?
Nice.
Go in your bathroom
It's
and
nice.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Go in your bathroom, do your hair.
Ooh.
Yeah. But like I said, every situation is different. I'm not saying that a child should not take on the father's name in some circumstances, but all circumstances does not entitle that man to have that child's last name, especially if he's a deadbeat dad.
You're not gonna hear me pee.
Okay. Let me see. But if you was married 2 times and it's not by the same person, your child kids are going to have different last names. Yeah, my point exactly. So all of my kids have my last name except one of my kids, because I was going to get married to her father, but it did not work out. So therefore I decided to all my kids to have the same last name then on out.
What's going on?
Hi there. I'm in my powder room having a conversation about should kids have their father's last name. What's your perspective on that?
Ooh.
Because I was saying, like, what if you know you're in a relationship and it doesn't work out, but your child has the father's last name, but you still want to have kids, so you've moved on to someone else.
It's situational because
Yeah, it is situational.
kids carry. Women can't carry a man's last name. Only the man.
Duh. What you mean? That don't make sense.
Maybe it don't make sense.
What are you talking about?
Just went blank. I'm trying to figure something out.
No.
Ooh-wee.
Well, to each their own. But I'm just saying, if you're gonna be a father, be a full-time father, not a part-time father. Be there when she has to go to her doctor's appointment. Be there to rub her feet. Be there to nurture her. I'm talking about during her pregnancy. You know, to me, it's a privilege to give a child your last name. Not just give a child your last name because you giving her sperm. You're just a sperm donor at that point. So what's the point of that child having your last name if you're not in that child's life? That's all I'm saying about the situation. Because a man that's not the father, that child can have his last name because he's been there as a father. So it's not necessarily about having the bloodline being the father and the child having his last name. It could be a stepfather and that child gets his last name because he's actually in that child's life and being a father. So with that said, it's ultimately the woman's choice. Absolutely. But one thing about it is, I don't know how it is in different states, but I know in Alabama, you have to be in the delivery room, not in the delivery room, but you have to be present in order to put your name on the birth certificate. A mother just can't put a father's name on the birth certificate without him being present. I know it's like that in California. You can just put a man's name on the birth certificate and him not being present. So I think it varies from state to state. Without a DNA test, I think that laws should change, because I think that there should be a DNA test after the child is born. So, just in case there's any type of legalities, you know, that would already be settled. You know, when a woman is trying to seek child support, it's already determined that he's the father. Instead of waiting till you go to court and the man asks for a paternity test. So it's already established after birth that you're the father. Take a DNA test when the baby comes out after being delivered. And that settles it all. You tired, booby? You know?
I don't know.
Well, how was the drive?
Real.
I gotta get some more bottled water, too.
The last few hours, Lord.
Yeah, it seems like the last hour's driving be the longest. Woo, woo! This powder room is real, baby. It's real. But I'm not going to take up too much of your time. My daughter, she just drove in from Atlanta. And I just want to spend some time with her. But I did want to come to you all and, you know, talk about, you know, because think about it. When a woman is pregnant, and if that man is in that child's life, it's his, you know, he should have some rights when it comes to naming that child or not. Because ultimately, it is the woman's decision whether or not she wants to give that child the man's last name. So, once again, I welcome you to my powder room. I see you. I see you too, Orlando. How you doing? You must be one of my new friends because I have added so many, and I'm about to go over to my daughter's house now because there's 600 more friend requests. Hi, how you doing? But like I said, I want to spend some time with my daughter, and I'll talk to you all soon. Toodles.